Hello, friends, and welcome to a very special episode of We're All Fine, our spooky Saturdays. Ooh. As always, I am one of your hosts, Holly, and with me, as ever, is...
I'm Carley.
You guys asked for it. After our last Supernatural episode, you said, give us more. We want more of this. We want to hear more spooky, strange, weird. And listen, we're here for it.
Yep, this is where I would put my wheel in a house if there was a house to put a wheel in. I'm saying this is my wheelhouse, folks. I love spooky shit. I love spooky stuff. I love strange stuff. If it was ever potentially or possibly or should have been or was mentioned on an episode of Lifetime's Unsolved Mysteries, I'm into it.
Still today, one of the scariest TV shows of my childhood.
Oh, yeah. I used to watch, every time I was homesick because I had a lot of parental controls on my TV, but Lifetime evidently wasn't. So I'm jacked up on cough syrup watching about, the Sedona hum or something out there. Yep, it helped shape me into the well-rounded, almost emotionally regulated person that I am today.
Which is why we have an abundance of these special Spooky Saturday episodes to bring to you guys. And quite frankly, we just thought we've got all this extra time. Sleep when you're dead. We'll just go ahead and add in a bonus episode for you every week. Yep. You're welcome.
You are very welcome. Yep, because spooky season, as we all know, starts on July 5th because it's the next, after 4th of July, the next holiday that you can decorate for is Halloween. So it's spooky season because that is science. I also do want to remind you guys, though, and to affirm you, validate you, reassure you. That's the word. I want to reassure you that we will still be the opinionated, sometimes judgy women that we are in these episodes. So, sit back, relax, enjoy this. And we also want to remind you that it could always be worse. And today's It Could Be Worse, I think, is really fun. And it's something that I think we can all relate to as moms, as sisters, cousins, nieces, nephews, grandparents. Anytime a child has a birthday, there's always that one person that gifts your child the worst fucking gift ever. Whether it's Orbeez, which could kill children, don't ever give those to people, or some sort of electronic toy that continuously makes the same repetitive noise.
My parents got my toddlers drum sets.
Oh my, that was literally the next thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to say, drum sets.
I was being punished, clearly.
Yeah. Yep. It's one of those things where if you have a vendetta against someone, you can gift them something terrible. It just seems like a nice gesture. So petty and also generous in the same moment. My kid has gotten a lot of terrible toys. I've gifted a lot of terrible toys. Sometimes they're those creepy dolls that when you lay them back, their eyes close, and when they come up, they pop up and steal a part of your soul. Oh, I hate them.
That's rough.
But it could be worse because you have never been gifted a haunted doll.
I mean, as far as I know.
Which from what I have found out, you would know pretty quick. So if you guys hadn't picked up on it, today's episode is about spooky, scary, haunted dolls. And they're everywhere, all over the world.
I can't believe how many, notorious haunted dolls we found. Yeah,
this is not an epidemic, but the other word that sounds like it doesn't matter. It's a crisis. And why people, because there's so many. There's so many. We literally had to choose which ones we wanted to share.
Right. So that way we saved them for later. As Carley suggested, maybe a really upbeat Christmas episode.
The gift that keeps on giving.
So I thought it would be nice that maybe we present these in sort of like an ascending order of terrifyingness. And really, they're all kind of terrifying. But I thought maybe we would start with what is, in my opinion, the least terrifying of the haunted dolls. In my opinion, the least terrifying of the haunted dolls we found is the haunted Elsa doll.
I don't know, that sounds pretty spooky, friend.
So a family in Houston was haunted by an Elsa doll from Frozen that repeatedly returned after being thrown away. Okay, so let's back this up. So the doll is given to the McDaniel family's daughter in 2013. Totally normal, but it starts in the beginning and then it starts behaving oddly, speaking and singing in Spanish even when turned off.
What?
And the thing is that this doll didn't even have any kind of switch or anything on it to change language.
Ugh.
After it starts speaking Spanish, the family decides to get rid of it. So they tightly wrap it in a garbage bag. They watch it get collected by the garbage truck, and somehow the doll reappears in the house. They ask all of the kids, did you keep it? Did you pull it out of the trash? Everyone says, no. We got rid of that thing. They tried this a couple times to no avail. What finally happened is they mailed it to a friend in Minnesota without a return address, although now that it's all over the internet, I mean, clearly he knows where it came from.
Right.
The friend, who's got a sense of humor and maybe a little bit of a sense of safety, taped the doll to the front of his Jeep and then posted a picture of it online.
Oh. Well, I mean, problem solved, I guess. That's fucking terrifying because now
Is it though?
Okay, here's why. The new trend with dolls is to have the eyes be as big as possible. And so if this doll has been made in the past, 10 years, which it has to have been because of Frozen, right?
Right.
It has spooky fucking eyes. I believe it could be capable of other things. I don't know.
Honestly, I'm kind of curious to hear what Let It Go sounds like in Spanish.
You can find that out. Disney will play audio in Spanish.
This is what I'm saying. Now, what I did find out is it wasn't just doing Spanish pieces from the film or stuff that the doll should be saying. Like, it was just speaking in Spanish, just
talking.
Random phrases, just chatting it up.
Oh.
And if you look at the picture, I mean, it's not even like a cool Elsa doll. It kind of looks like
like an average Joe with huge eyes. I knew it was going to have huge eyes. I told you it's capable of anything. Ugh, and how their arms stick out in front. I probably should have started and prefaced this with, I don't like dolls. I have a problem with them.
Well, now that we've started with this, we're baby stepping into the haunted dolls with the spooky Elsa doll, which in my opinion, the scariest part about that is how often I've had to hear that fucking song in everything.
Well, and it's both. The second Frozen, when she's, in the spirit thing, when it's like, ah. Me and my husband used to do it all the time to each other. It became like a call to each other through the house. To the point where my daughter would lose her shit every time we did it. Stop it!
Maybe that's the true supernatural power of this doll, is it just kept quoting pieces from the movie again and again till it drove the entire family insane.
Right. No, that seems fair. I think the most interesting part of that story is, do they hate their friend in Minnesota or Michigan?
Minnesota, yeah.
Minnesota. I thought people in Minnesota were nice, but evidently, if you hate them, send them weird dolls.
Well, I guess Haunted Elsa is thrilled to be strapped onto the front of this Jeep like the carcass of a giant elk. She's just living her best life because there have been no more reports of it after. So, huzzah. Give us the next step in Haunted Dolls, will you, Carley?
I will. I'm going to tell you guys about Robert the doll.
Okay. I've only heard a little bit about him. I'm so excited to hear this.
Mm-hmm. So, Robert the doll, he is currently on display at the East Martella Museum in Key West, Florida. He is allegedly, I love how that word is used so often in supernatural or paranormal stuff. The doll isn't going to sue you. The doll is not going to be like, you went against my character. Lawsuit, allegedly haunted. It was originally owned by painter Robert Eugene Otto. The doll was given to him in 1904 by his granddaughter. But according to legend, this doll has supernatural abilities. It can change its facial expressions. It makes giggling sounds, again, with no ability.
I'm sorry. What? It giggles?
It giggles.
Ooh.
It giggles. And it also has been blamed for a lot of misfortunes experienced by those who have seemingly disrespected Robert the doll. So I like Robert the doll, and here's why. He takes no shit, and he does do harm, I guess. He's very vindictive, which if you're gonna be a creepy doll, fucking, like, go for it. Really lay into it. There are rules with this doll that when you're around him in the museum and stuff like that, there are certain things that you have to do because otherwise he will come after you. So before walking into the museum to get a peek at Mr. Robert the doll, you have to follow these rules. 1, you must greet and introduce yourself to Robert. If you want to take a picture of him or with him, you have to ask first. And as you're leaving the museum, you have to say goodbye. If you do not do this, visitors have supposedly experienced and have told people that they have had what is known as post-visit misfortune. So if they didn't follow those rules, some of the things that people have said happened to them after were car accidents, divorces, loss of income, bodily injury, broken bone. Like a cornucopia is the word that was used in one of the articles that I read about this. That a cornucopia of other misfortunes happened if you disrespected Robert the doll. I don't know. I think I think that's fun. Like, I wish I could be like, oh, by the way, world, if you're not nice to me and you don't, ask to take pictures of me first, I will get you a divorce. Like, that's pretty intense shit.
Well, first of all, we have to talk about the way Robert looks. Robert the doll, first of all, if you guys have never seen him before, so it looks like he used to at one point have a very detailed face that has just sort of, like, the detail has worn off over time. So now it just looks like there's like these little beady eyes and then like
a flattened nose,
a little bit of space where our mouth used to be, and then a lot of like pock marks all over the face, with a very scary looking dog, like a little like stuffed dog with it, and he's in a legit sailor suit, like a little like sweet little sailor suit. Now, here's my other question on this.
Okay.
If you ask Robert the doll, can I take your picture? How do you know you're getting his consent?
I don't know. Maybe he just has to be asked. Maybe he has like a consent kink or something where he just wants you to ask.
Also, and I'm not saying that it's not true, but some of these horrible things that happen post-visit, of the things that you said, I mean, like divorce, really? That just feels like, I don't know, wife was at home and this guy's like, you're not going to believe this. I went and visited this doll and it said if I didn't do these things, something bad would happen. And then she was like, oh, yes, this is my moment.
This is
Bruce,
my
I'm leaving you. I don't know why. I feel compelled, but I have to go.
I must go now. I must go now.
And then that was it.
If you have to have a scapegoat, I kind of like this scapegoat. Don't haunt me, Robert. But from now on, instead of saying like, oh, God damn it, I can be like, damn it, Robert, every time I like drop my sandwich on the floor or stub my toe, because I've never asked him for anything. And if you want to know a little bit more about Robert, there is a British horror film, which British horror can be pretty fun. It's pretty dry, but there's a British horror film called Robert from 2015. So, I mean, this doll from 1904 was when it was first gifted to someone, has just been terrorizing people for, I don't know what the math of that would be, but it's a lot. It's decades, but like over 100 years.
Yeah, but I mean, that's some heavy celebrity that doll is carrying. If he can do an entire film with just his first name, I mean, that's like Cher, Madonna, just Robert.
That.
Not even any kind of signifier afterwards, just Robert.
Yeah, it's just Robert.
Right? Who else can do that?
Oh, that's true. Even Elton John's movie had other words in the title. So
exactly.
Who knows? Maybe Robert is like the new gay icon. Like, if
don't say that to his face unless you ask first.
I will. Hey, Robert. Well, I'm not going to go to Florida anytime soon, but if I do, I will follow those rules because this feels more serious than a forwarded message to you that if you don't send to 7 people, bad things will happen.
Don't you dare bring that up.
I'm so sorry.
Oh my God. Terrible.
Forward it on to some friends.
All right, well, let's find a little slightly less threatening doll, but also creepy and mildly racist. Here we go.
Oh.
So I shouldn't have been laughing about this, but I was laughing about this one with you earlier, and I didn't tell you why.
Yeah, I have no idea. I can't wait.
So this one is called Letta the Doll. So Letta the Doll was found by Carrie Walton in Australia in 1972, is believed to be haunted. Okay, it was found underneath a house in Wagga Wagga. I hope I'm saying that correctly in Australian. They named the doll Letta Me Out because of its apparent European gypsy heritage. The doll was given the name of Letta or Leda due to his European gypsy heritage, or because the doll occasionally screams, "Letta me out." Okay. Now, here's the racism on this one, which is so I don't mean to laugh. If you look at this doll, at first I wasn't sure. When I heard Letta, I thought it was a female doll, but it's this is a guy. He looks like a very angry elf, is all I can tell you. So he's dressed in like all green. He's got long hair and very unique sort of Eastern European features. So they have called this Letta, and this idea of like whispering, "Letta me out, Letta me out," and the idea. This is
the accent.
Yeah, well, it's literally written into these things, into these articles that I found. Yeah. It's just so wildly racist. Like, it looks like an Eastern European gypsy. It's called it Letta. It just, what? Letta me out. So anyway, Letta has been actually on a number of TV shows, lots of different TV programs, lots of stuff online. And the doll exhibits some supernatural behaviors such as moving on its own and leaving visible marks. So what I mean is, it has been said by the person who found this doll that the doll actually moves in front of people, and that there are scuff marks around his house in the shape of little footprints.
What?
I will say that again. Scuff marks in the shape of a little footprints. Now, apparently, like, the backstory on this is that the doll was clearly owned by a child that drowned, and this was all discovered because the owner held the doll in front of a psychic.
Yeah.
Who began to tell a story of the origin of the doll, and then the doll just got up and moved into the psychic's lap.
That's fucking scary.
Right.
Like, now, the other ones couldn't move. This one's scary.
And apparently it did, and it has done it in front of people. Now, if you want to know more about Letta Me Out, and Letta, here's the, I don't want to say fun part, but Letta has his own Facebook page. He also has his own Instagram where pictures are posted with no captions. I don't know if that makes it more or less scary, just...
It lets the imagination do some more stuff, which is pretty fucked up. So, for anyone who is offended by the term gypsy, I get it. So, I have a lot of Rumney or traveler blood in me. The term gypsy has never bothered me, but we would use traveler. But the fact that, like, very, very rarely do I hear a lot of like racism or
and I'm sorry, that was
anymore.
The exact term
that
was referenced by the person who found the doll. So I'm sorry.
No, you direct quoted it. You're fine. I know that nobody thinks that you are a person that thinks that travelers are bad people or less than. But I think it's so interesting because very rarely do we nowadays hear anything negative about travelers except for like the term gypsy, and it's had a huge come up, and like people have re-owned it, and it's never bothered me. I've always I love Cher, and if Cher says it and doesn't mean in a bad way, I'm cool with it. The fact that like they found this doll under a house and they were like, you know what's really funny about this scary doll that can hurt people, and you know what a good idea is to make fun of it and make its entire personality. No shit, this scary haunted doll is going after you and your family. You started it.
The doll walks around saying, "Let me out," and they're like, You know what? I want to give it a cute little nickname. I like this. Let's use that cute little saying that it says, and we'll call it Letta. Yeah, that's so
Letta.
funny. Letta me out. That's hilarious.
Like,
No.
what? Like, if I have something that is haunted or tormented in my house, I'm not making fun of it. It's like having a tiger in your house and being like, well, me and my tiger, I'm going to make fun of you. Hey, little guy. Hey, pussy cat. And then it eats your face off, and you're like, well, I can't believe you did that. We don't know.
Maybe they were like trying to be like endearingly racist with the doll. Like, right? They thought that they were being precious.
You know, I've met a lot of people who think that they could be precious while racist. So honestly, that makes it make a lot of sense. Yeah. Well, and Letta is a very common, like Letty is a very common, like Rumney name.
Oh,
which is European traveler. So the fact that they were like, oh, Letta me out of here. Like, no, there's no sense of humor for this one, you dick bags. Yeah, I'm not going to piss off a possibly haunted doll in my house. Has anybody not seen Chucky? Like,
exactly. But listen, if you guys want more information, I urge you to go check out Letta's Facebook and Instagram, because everybody's got one now, apparently.
Yeah.
Even the haunted dolls. So get on it, Robert.
Yeah, and if you don't follow us, you probably should, because if that scary doll has more followers than us, I'm going to be pissed. But that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, he does.
All right, so my next one's name is Harold. And one, I love that name. I could not believe that something named Harold could be a bad, scary dude. There's no way. But Harold the Haunted Doll, he gained notoriety after his own owner, Anthony Quinata, I think is his name. Hopefully I didn't say that wrong. And others experienced weird happenings with him. And they were all linked back to when Harold the Haunted Doll was bought at a flea market in 2003. Harold has been connected to various paranormal activities, including voices, physical ailments, making people sick. Researchers and paranormal enthusiasts have documented numerous unsettling experiences with Harold, making him one of the most feared haunted dolls in the paranormal community. Anthony has been asked, do you think the doll is cursed or haunted? And he is quoted as saying, I wouldn't say it's either haunted or cursed. I wouldn't say it's possessed either. What it is goes far beyond all three of those. It's not like anything I've ever read or heard about in paranormal literature. And then he's been asked, like, why haven't you gotten rid of it? Get rid of the doll. And do you feel safe in the house with the doll? And Anthony goes on to say, I not only feel unsafe, but I know I am not safe. I am under constant attack from it. So why don't I do something to get rid of it? Because I've been able to determine that there are 3 souls trapped inside of the doll, and it's fallen on me to figure out some way to release them. Trapped maybe isn't a good word. They are being held prisoner by one of the entities. That's what makes the case so different from the typical doll story. So Anthony has written a book now about this terrifying doll. Harold has also been featured on Ghost Adventures, Island of the Dolls episode, I guess. The doll, I guess, is just terrifying and can make people very sick if he does not like them.
Like what kind of sick?
From what I've heard, like violent vomiting. There's been terrible headaches. Your blood pressure can even get out of whack at some point in time. It's just 2 very strange things. So one of the things that's really sad, and so trigger warning, was that Anthony had a puppy that passed from a herniated diaphragm. And when he took him to the veterinarian, this is after they had Harold, they had 2 different certified veterinarians that said, the puppy, there's no reason why this could have happened. This doesn't make sense. This is inexplicable. And that the way that the animal's insides, because it had already had a checkup and it was totally fine, x-rayed everything, like as your first pet visit goes. And then took the puppy home, puppy passed, took him back, and the puppy's organs were resituated as if it had been hit by a car. But there was no external damage. Nothing happened to this pup. He passed peacefully in his sleep.
Is heinous. Harold is officially the worst of everything we've covered because he hurt a puppy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So Harold sucks. Robert's awesome.
I'm trying to figure out. I guess there's like a couple of things. So this guy has determined there's 3 spirits and something keeping them in there.
Mm-hmm.
I would be curious, how did he figure that out? I'm sure that he worked with some psychics, mediums, things along those lines. Why does it fall upon him to free them? How does that, if he knows like he's in constant danger, was he like, I guess here's my thinking on this. It's like in his quest to discover how to free these spirits from a doll, he was like, you know what? I'm doing a lot of researching. I'm going to go ahead and while I'm at my computer, I'm just going to jot it all down and format it correctly and send it off to publishers. This is the way to go. So that I now have money to continue my search on how to handle this. And then these people who get violently ill, like I get that. Then you were talking about blood pressure. Like if I go there and then I leave and I'm like, find out like my cholesterol is significantly higher than when I first went in to go see Harold. Like, is this kind of like the divorce thing with Robert? Did I go, no, it was not the 6 cheeseburgers I've had this week.
Nope. No way.
It was 100% Harold the doll.
No, it was 100%. So that's actually interesting because the seller that Anthony got this doll from had put it on eBay and created this whole elaborate ghost story about this doll, and then later admitted he just did it so he could get more money from selling the doll on eBay. But Anthony swears that that story is fake, but it's real, and that Harold is in fact tormented because he doesn't like the word haunted. And so he does believe that there's a little boy child spirit held in there. He believes that there is a young woman and her younger sister that are being held in the doll, and that he has photos of them because he had a friend have a vision about what they look like because I guess they've done seances and attempted to communicate. And this is what they have found out. I don't know. To me, this is the sketchiest one because the other ones are almost fun to believe in. But this one seemed more like you knew that the guy before you made money off of this being a haunted doll. So now you have a haunted doll.
Honestly, I'm also looking at the picture of Harold. Harold is a terrifying looking doll.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he's not
yikes.
cute. He's not cute.
I mean, he looks like he's the sort of quintessential porcelain doll that has been to hell and back, is what it looks like.
Well, yeah, because the other dolls have all been fabric for the most part. Elsa wasn't, but the other 2 have all been fabric. But this one is shiny, and it's got a weird frozen expression on its face. It also has, what are those? Crow's nest? Bird's nest. Widow's peak. You're welcome. Like a weird blonde widow's peak.
Ugh.
So, yeah, no, he's super unsettling. So you can read the book. Maybe there's more in there. So supposedly there's like 4 souls trapped in this doll, and it's beyond human understanding.
Well, that is terrible. And I am very upset about the puppy story with that doll. I'm going to go on to a haunted doll that is cruelty-free.
I like that.
All right.
I prefer it, honestly.
My
Fuck
heart
you,
hurts.
Harold.
Fuck you, Harold. Okay, here we go. We're going to talk about Okiku. I really hope I'm pronouncing these right. So, Okiku doll was bought in Sapporo by a 17-year-old Aikichi Suzuki in 1918 for his 2-year-old sister, Okiku. He was touring the region for a maritime exhibition, and the doll instantly drew his eyes. Perfect little thing sat on a shop window, enticing him. Suzuki didn't think twice. He went in and instantly purchased the figurine for his sister, Okiku. The girl immediately loves the doll instantaneously and names the doll after herself because it actually looks so much like her, which is why the brother got it for her, right? Within a year, the little girl gets violently ill and she passes away. So by the time she's about 3, she passes away. What the family does is they take the doll and they put it in the family's altar. This is a common practice in certain Japanese households to commemorate the dead. And it's a small shrine that celebrated the daughter and marked her passing into the afterlife.
That's beautiful.
But then one day,
Oh.
The family started to notice that the doll that had a traditional shoulder-length cut with neat ends now had a mangled mess of split ends reaching down past her waist. It was scruffy, different colors, and felt different.
Oh.
At night, they started to dream that the doll would appear by their side, and there were events that started to intensify and glow into like full-blown acts of spiritual infestation. Lights flicking on and off, banging in the house, noises, strange voices. The closer the year got to certain key dates, mostly Okiku's birthday and the day of her death. Since then, priests have sent out cut samples of the hair for scientific analysis. And guess what? Scientific examination of Okiku proved that the hair was that of a human child.
What?
Yes. The hair continues to grow. They trim the hair every year. And to make this even worse for visitors who can actually go and visit this doll now, here's the crazy part. Visitors now say that the mouth of Okiku, the doll, is slowly opening, and that if you dare to peer inside, you may be able to glimpse something like baby teeth spouting like weeds from the porcelain gums. So the belief is the spirit of the little girl is inside the doll, but as long as they keep her pretty, hair trimmed, they don't have issues.
Oh.
The doll just sits happily chilling in its spot with growing human hair and baby teeth.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Grief is a hell of a drug. Grief is a hell of a drug. And I don't know. People have gone absolutely crazy, and I know that's not a nice term, but people have gone absolutely crazy for a lot less than the death of a child. So if your baby's spirit is in that doll, you just cut its hair and take care of it. Like, I'm not gonna knock you for it. It's scary. That's very scary. And the teeth thing is weird because
that's really.
I have a weird thing with teeth. When my kid loses teeth and brings them to me, I'd rather deal with vomit. I don't know what it is. So like a weird doll having teeth. Oh, I'm out. Sorry, I don't mean to gag so much, but that thought is hell for me.
Well, if you are interested in knowing, there's actually a reason why scientists believe that we have such an issue with dolls.
I am, because I have it. What do I have? Diagnose me. You're qualified.
There is actually a psychological diagnosis for people with like major fear of dolls. It's called pediophobia. And pediophobia, which is a very real thing, you can find it on WebMD if you want, like all the major health things. It includes symptoms of feelings of intense fear, difficulty breathing, chest pain or tightness, fast heartbeat, sweating, basically anything that comes in with like panic attack. But it can also include screaming, trying to flee, nausea, lightheadedness. And there are ways to treat it, exposure therapy. So like, you can get around dolls slowly, sometimes just doing it online, or medication. They do say that like hypnosis helps as well.
Mine's not that bad. I just don't trust the fucks. Growing up, I had friends that had a porcelain doll given to them by like a great aunt or grandma or something. And it was porcelain, pure white skin and a white dress and black, scary, stringy hair. And us kids used to sleep at the basement when we would have sleepovers, and that's where the doll lived. And I couldn't use the bathroom downstairs, and they would have it propped on the bed. And we all swore that the doll was fucking haunted. We would put it in the closet before we would play because we just knew that it was going to suck the soul out of our body. And so ever since then, I don't trust a doll. I don't like anything that looks like a human it isn't. Mannequins? No thanks.
That's the other side. There's a reason for that. So it's called the uncanny valley. There's tons of studies on it, but there was one article that I really liked. It was from Vice, and they did an interview with Talia Wheatley, who's a cognitive neuroscientist at Dartmouth University. So here's essentially what they said. The reason that we find dolls so difficult, like we don't like them, it doesn't feel right, is because our brains are designed to, first of all, identify faces. Like that's a very important thing. So they even say newborns will focus on a face faster and longer than a scrambled picture of a face. It means that from birth, we are able to recognize a face. And in fact, that ability, those basics of recognizing a face, it's why we see faces in, like a light socket or a door, right? Even two dots and a little, like a half circle. we are able to see faces in almost anything. Our brain is designed to do that from early on. However, when you get to a certain age, we go to step 2, which is testing to see if that face has a brain with it. So we essentially are looking, because that's for our safety, like as a human race, we have to go, is this face that I see, like identifying the faces for safety, right? We need to know who we can connect to or go to, or, what's going to cause danger. But then the other part is, does this face have a brain? Meaning, is this someone I can then connect with? Is this person that I'm going to have some sort of contact with? We then look for that. Now, the thing is with dolls is that they are so similar. Like they have all of the things that we look for in face recognition, but they're not faces. So our brain is really kind of going back and forth to going, I feel like this should have a brain, but it doesn't. But I feel like it should. Like we're just not sure. And it's called the uncanny valley. We see it a lot now with a lot of the AI stuff that's coming out and robots. Our brain recognizes something that looks like it should have a brain, have like something behind it, but does not. And we immediately distrust it.
Yeah, I do. I don't even like Alexa. Like, don't talk to me, robot lady.
Right. Because our brain is telling us like something's not right here. This is not correct. It has the things that we're recognizing, but not the brain behind it. Run. This is not safe. Right. And with a lot of dolls, I mean, they're really designed to look so much like a child, which adds in that whole other piece to it, right? The pediophobia, which is actually fairly common, where we're confused about what is going on. Right. And so that's why you see all of these things about dolls being haunted.
No, that actually makes a lot of sense. Well, and there's that dude too. So there's a man, this reminds me of it. There's a man that had a heart transplant. I don't understand the science behind it, but he does not have a heartbeat and he's alive, but he has a pacemaker of some kind that doesn't make the sound or something. And they've done studies where he has sat in a room with people and the people just fucking hate him. They don't like him. He's low on likability. It doesn't matter how nice he is. It doesn't matter how quiet he is. And that makes so much sense because we know instinctually or somewhere, somehow, people pick up on the fact that he doesn't have a heartbeat, but he's animated, he's breathing, he's doing all of these things. So he's fucking terrifying.
Our brain goes, something's not right. Run.
Yeah.
So there you go. So guys, we have brought you the spooky, the supernatural, and the scientific all in one episode. You like that alliteration?
I did. Okay. I love alliteration.
Right?
Like, I'm an alliteration hoe.
Spooky, supernatural, and scientific. You're welcome, everybody. This is the first of several Spooky Saturday episodes to come your way. And it's really important that we remind you right now, guys, with all this strange, we're still all fine. With that being said, guys, make sure you check us out on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok,
Apple, Spotify, TikTok, YouTube,
Apple, YouTube, all of the things. Check us out. We're all fine. Podcast. We would love to hear your thoughts on any of this. If you guys have additional details on this you would like to share, please send us an email. And if you have some stories you would like for us to talk about, send us that as well. We would love to hear your thoughts and
your admiration. We like praise.
Guys, thanks so much for joining us. We love you.
Bye.